Her name was Jean. In 1961, she married Robert Wilson in a church in Dayton, Ohio, wearing a dress with a 23-inch waist. She was 22 years old. She wore that same dress to her daughter's wedding in 1989. Same waist, same woman, 28 years and 4 children later. Nobody in Jean's household counted a single calorie during that time. Nobody had a gym membership, a food journal, or a meal plan. Nobody used the word diet except to mean what you eat. There were no forbidden foods, no point systems, and no before and after photographs. What Jean had were 10 habits so ordinary she never thought to name them. Neither did anyone else in her neighborhood because everyone ate this way. Then something changed. It wasn't the women. What changed is what this video is about. Number 10. They never snacked, not once. The kitchen in Jean's house had a rule that required no enforcement. You ate at meal times between meals. The kitchen was not a place you went. Hunger between meals wasn't a problem to be solved with a handful of crackers. It was evidence that dinner would taste good. In 1960, the American snack food industry was essentially non-existent. Doritos arrived in 1966, and Pringles in 1968. Before them, there was no category today. That category is worth $108 billion, creating the hunger that makes snacking feel necessary, and then selling the product to fill it. The grazing lifestyle was not biological. It was invented as a business model. Jean never had the product. She never had the problem either. Number 9. The real breakfast. Tuesday morning, 1959. The alarm at 6 o'clock, 2 eggs cracked into butter, toast from the bakery. The kitchen smelled like coffee and warm bread. Nobody called it a morning ritual. It was just how the day started. It held until noon without a protein supplement in sight. The breakfast on the Go market is now worth over $35 billion. The product it replaced cost 20 cents in 1959, 2 eggs and a glass of milk. No wrapper, no ingredient panel, no marketing budget. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirmed that whole food protein from eggs produces a significantly greater satiety hormone response than processed breakfast alternatives, meaning it keeps you full longer through a mechanism that has not changed since 1959. The women who ate this every morning didn't need a clinical study to confirm it. Their appetites told them at noon. Number 8. The plates were smaller. Jean's dinner plates measured 9 inches across. You can find them in antique shops today, such as Fiesta Ware, Melmac, or sprigged white china in faded patterns. And everyone is smaller than what sits on modern American tables. The standard dinner plate today is 12 inches. 3 inches of additional diameter means roughly 50 phntrm more surface area. A full plate in 1959 held a meaningfully smaller amount of food. This is not trivial. Behavioral nutrition researchers have consistently documented what they call the portion size effect. People consume more when more is served, independent of actual hunger. The plate is the cue. The brain reads before the stomach does. Nobody in Jean's kitchen felt deprived. The plate was full. The plate told the right story. What restaurants called a large portion in 1961 would be listed as small at every chain restaurant operating today. John never finished dinner and thought, not enough. The 9-inch plate was the right size it always had been. Nobody changed it until there was money in changing it. Number 7. They ate at the same 3 times every day. In 1958, the noon whistle at the plant blew at exactly 12 o'clock. Men stopped what they were doing. Women at home fed children at the same hour. Dinner came at 6 o'clock, breakfast at 7 o'clock. Between those 3 fixed points, nothing. Not because of willpower, but because eating between meals hadn't been normal. A 2019 paper in Cell Metabolism found that consistent meal timing reduced total caloric intake and improved metabolic function without any restriction on what was eaten. The body optimizes around predictability. Jean's body had that predictability for 60 years. She would have found the concept of intuitive eating confusing. She was just hungry at noon and 6 o'clock, the same as yesterday and the day before. Slim Fast launched in 1977, the same year as the low-fat dietary guidelines, with the promise you could replace a meal with a shake. The meal replacement industry is now worth $16 billion. Jean's schedule cost nothing and required nothing. The product that replaced it has a monthly delivery option. Number 6. Sugar was a special occasion. Here is what keeps surfacing when you trace this carefully enough. None of the habits on this list require discipline in the way we've been taught to think about discipline. None require equipment, an app, a subscription, or anything to buy. What they required was a world that hadn't yet been organized around making them impossible. The snack industry, the meal delivery culture, and the beverage category that turned a 2-calorie cup of coffee into a 500-calorie event did not arrive by accident. Number 1 on this list is the item the food industry has spent the most money trying to make you forget. But first, number 6. The sugar bowl sat on Jean's table in 1958, visible, available, never hidden. Nobody was counting grams, and per capita added sugar consumption was less than half of what it is today. Not because of discipline, but because sugar hadn't yet been inserted into everything else. In 1960, Americans consumed approximately 23 pounds of added sugar per year. Today, that figure is 57 pounds. The gap is not explained by dessert. It's explained by bread, pasta sauce, peanut butter, and salad dressing. Sugar in products where nobody agreed to put it. A 1950s recipe for tomato sauce reads, tomatoes, garlic, olive oil, oregano. The ingredient list on a leading jarred brand today runs to 22 items, including high-fructose corn syrup. Jean never put corn syrup in her sauce. She didn't know anyone who did because no one had invented it yet. What sugar gave people when it was rare was something it can only give when it's rare. Genuine pleasure. Jean's daughter still remembers the birthday cake, not because there were many of them, but because there was one and it was worth remembering. Number 5. Water and milk. That was the table. The milkman came on Tuesdays and Thursdays, glass bottles, paper caps, your name on the order. Milk for the children at dinner, water for the adults, coffee after, black or with a little real cream from the same bottle. Soda existed, a 6.5-ounce Coca-Cola. The only size they made, and it appeared on Friday nights. Today's standard 20-ounce Coca-Cola bottle contains 240 calories. The global beverage industry, soft drinks, energy drinks, sweetened coffees, and flavored waters, is worth over $300 billion. Every dollar of that replaced something that either cost nothing or came in a glass bottle to the door. Water cannot be trademarked. Milk cannot support a $300 billion industry. Something else had to be invented. It was number 4. Black coffee. 2 calories. That was it. The coffee break in 1961 lasted 15 minutes and involved a percolator and a ceramic mug. Coffee was coffee, 2 calories per cup. The woman at the office brought her own mug. The woman at home poured from the same pot made at breakfast. Starbucks opened in 1971. By the late 1990s, the coffee drink had been invented. Beverages with the word coffee on the label that contained 300 to 600 calories. A grande pumpkin spice latte contains more calories than a complete 1960s lunch. Jacqueline Kennedy, who maintained her figure through 2 pregnancies, 8 years in the White House, and 30 years of public life, was described by her personal secretary Mary Gallagher as drinking black coffee throughout the day without exception. Not as a diet strategy, just as coffee. The global coffee shop market is valued at over $165 billion. It is built entirely on the gap between what coffee is and what it became. Once the industry realized 2 calories couldn't generate that kind of margin. They didn't sell you coffee, they sold you a sugar delivery system with coffee in the name. Jean's coffee break was 15 minutes and 2 calories. She would not have recognized what they eventually called it. Number 3. They moved through the whole day. When I started this research, I assumed the answer was willpower, that women in 1960 simply had more of it than we do. That is not what the timeline shows. What it shows is a food environment that had not yet been engineered to extract money from hunger. The hunger in 2026 is in significant part a product that was manufactured and then sold back to the people it was manufactured for. The discipline gap is real, but the reason the gap exists is that we are fighting a system designed to make discipline fail and then selling us the products we need to almost manage it. These habits weren't punishing. They were ordinary. They were just Tuesday. Number 1 is the item at the center of that system. But first, number 3. In 1960, the word exercise referred to something soldiers did. For everyone else, it had no category. You didn't move. You just lived. A housewife's morning meant making beds, carrying laundry to the line, walking to the butcher, then the baker, then the produce stand with everything in her arms. Dinner meant 2 hours on her feet. None of it was scheduled. None of it was called a workout. Research published in Science documented that neat, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, the calories burned through ordinary daily movement, accounts for up to 2,000 calories of daily variance between individuals. The 1960s housewife was burning those calories before anyone invented the gym membership she would have needed to replace them. She didn't have a step counter. She had a neighborhood and places to be. The American fitness industry is now worth $35 billion. It sells at a monthly fee the movement Jean got for free carrying groceries home from the butcher. Her neighborhood was her gym. Number 2. They cooked everything from scratch. The pantry in 1960 held flour, butter, eggs, potatoes, onions, and whatever was in season. These required preparation. That preparation was its own protection. When you make food from scratch, there is no high-fructose corn syrup in the pot roast because you didn't put it there. There are no modified starches in the soup because it came from yesterday's chicken carcass, not from a can. A study in public health nutrition found that people who cooked at home most frequently consumed significantly fewer calories per meal than those who relied on prepared food, not from effort, but because home-cooked food is structurally less calorie-dense than its commercial equivalent. Wonder Bread in 2024 lists over 30 ingredients. Bread in 1955 had 4, flour, water, yeast, and salt. Jean ate both the bread and the butter. The dress still fit in 1989. Number 1. She ate real fat. This is the one the food industry most needs you not to know. In 1955, Jean cooked with butter lard in the pie crust, whole milk in everything, and cream in the coffee. She did this every day of her adult life. She wore the same dress at 22 and 50. In 1977, the United States Senate Select Committee on Nutrition published guidelines recommending Americans reduce fat intake. The food industry's response was not to improve food. It was to replace fat with sugar because fat carries flavor, and something had to fill that gap. The low-fat product category was born. Fat, free cookies, skim milk, margarine, instead of butter. Within 15 years of those guidelines, American obesity rates began climbing a line that has not stopped since. The women who stayed thin in 1955 were eating saturated fat at every meal. The generation that replaced it with processed substitutes did not get thinner. They got the opposite. And the industry that sold them the substitutes, the fat-free yogurts, the light margarines, the I can't believe it's not butters, is now worth $250 billion a year doing it. Jean kept the butter. She never read the guidelines. Jean Wilson passed away in 2011 at 72. Her daughter found the 1961 wedding dress in a cedar chest. She held it up against herself in the mirror. She set it down. The 10 habits Jean carried her entire adult life cost less combined in 1960 than a bag of chips costs today. None required a subscription. None required a label to read or a number to count. None required believing that the body was the problem. What changed between Jean's kitchen and ours was not what the human body needs. Those requirements have not changed. What changed was who got paid when those requirements were replaced with something they could manufacture and trademark. Pick one thing from this list, come back in the comments in a week and tell me what it did. If this story changed the way you look at the modern food industry, please subscribe and like the channel. We are uncovering the history they tried to bury. Plant the seeds for a healthier future. The next treasure trove of knowledge will open soon.